What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of the Hoops All In podcast. As always, I'm your host, Werls Francois, followed by my co-host Keith Bazin. What's up, Keith? How you doing, man? The NBA Finals are locked and loaded.
Yeah, I'm good. We finally know our two finals teams. It's solidified. Where I think some people might have had some inklings after a few games in this series, but it's good that it's crazy that we're already here into the finals.
Yeah, crazy how fast the playoffs started. Now we're at the final two, and a new NBA champion will be crowned in the middle of June. But if you guys don't forget to follow the Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X at Hoops All In. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel at Hoops All In on YouTube, and listen to us on the audio version of the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or wherever you stream your daily, weekly podcasts. So yeah, let's get to it. So we got the NBA Finals are set. We got the Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Probably the most unlikely playoffs, unlikely finals, excuse me, that fans would have ever predicted. Also, a lot of people picked OKC to get there, but not a lot of NBA fans picked the Indiana Pacers to get there, especially how slow they started the season. But they really turned it completely around once the playoffs started. So that's a credit to Rick Carlisle and the entire Pacers team, from Tyrese Halliburton all the way down to the 15 man on that roster. But yeah, we have I think it's going to be a great finals, a good matchup. This was probably the best matchup out of the four teams left remaining, that we would have seen for true basketball fans. I'm talking about, again, everybody knows the NBA playoffs is all about matchup. Now, yes, it would have been better to see, the Timberwolves against the Knicks because of the storyline. But the Pacers and Thunder, there really is no storyline here. It's just pure basketball. So I'm looking forward to it. What are your thoughts of the upcoming finals between OKC and Indiana?
Yeah, I do think that this is the most. I don't know how to say, like, the best, not competition, but yeah, I agree. I think that um obviously the fun finals, like you said, would have been the Knicks versus the Timberwolves, just because of everything that is there and what happened recently. But I do think that when you talk about the best team, like out of the four teams that there were for the conference finals, I think the two best teams on each side, kind of advanced. I think Pacers would have an upper hand in this series versus the Knicks, because if we're being honest, the Thunder, to me at least, like, these teams are so similar, which we'll get into later, but like OKC's even deeper than the Pacers, and they're better talent wise than the Pacers. And the Knicks struggled against the Pacers, so I can't imagine how much of a struggle it would have been versus an even younger team that is even more deep, if because they struggled against that in the conference finals. But I do think that there are two different worlds here, where like OKC is an all-time team, 68 wins, MVP on their roster, and one of the best defenses of all time. They're super deep, they're super young, everything. There's so much you could say. Um they could totally destroy the competition. They very well could. I could see it, but I my optimism as a basketball fan and in general says that the Pacers could make it interesting. I don't think there's a world where the Pacers win this series. I mean, just because, again, I look at OKC, you look at Indiana. They're similar. They're somewhat young. Pacers aren't the youngest team, but they're young, I would say, across the league. But OKC's, I think, the youngest team. There, Indiana has been one of the best depth teams in the league. OKC is the deepest team in the league, though. They definitely have the star player. They've got a top three player in ball this season on their team, the MVP. And I just think that the things the Pacers thrived on versus teams like the Knicks and the Cavs and whatever, I don't know how much they're going to be able to thrive versus OKC, because I think they can prevent and battle a lot of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I agree with most of what you said. OKC, Charles Barkley said it best. This is the Oklahoma City Thunder Invitational. They're 29-1 against Eastern Conference team this season. The only team they lost to was the team that had the best record in the East, and the Indiana Pacers took them out. But you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder team. You just said they're young and they're extremely deep, all the way from Shea to Jalen to Chet to the other Jalen Williams to Hartenstein to Caruso to Luke Dort. I think what the advantage that the Thunder have over the Pacers is their depth, and they're a more aggressive defensive team. If you've seen the way the Thunder play defense, especially in that Minnesota Timberwolves series, they were all over Ant-Man. They were all over Julius Randle. They were all over the guys who even had a threat to score offensively.
Mhm.
Lou Dort looks like he can play linebacker in the NFL. He's a big, strong, powerful dude. And they were putting a guy who's a shooting guard on a guy who's a power forward and Julius Randle, and he was holding his own, if not outpowered Julius Randle. So Lou Dort, again, who's that strong, that physical, can play 1 to 4 positions. He's going to be the X factor, in my opinion, defensively for the Thunder. Same thing with Alex Caruso as well, too. He's a beast defensively. He's more of a mental defensive type person because he's able to get those offside weak passes, offside steals. The next thing you know, it's like, how the hell did Caruso get like 3 or 4 steals in a game? His game, his mind defensively is on a whole nother level. That helps when you play with a guy like LeBron James. But yet Chet as well too. Chet, I think, is gonna be probably have a good series. I think he's gonna win his matchup against Miles Turner because Chet can
Yeah,
spread the floor a little bit, even though Miles Turner is a little bit better shooter, but Chet is more skilled in terms of the post game, the mid-range game. And like I said, Hartenstein is gonna be able to clean up all the glasses. He's gonna make those defensive efforts, alter shots, block shots. And like you said, the two horsemen, Jalen Williams and SGA, MVP and SGA, I think he's going to have a 30-point season, 30-point series, excuse me, in this series. But no, I think that, like you said, the Pacers are going to give him run for their money. This is a team that has outperformed the entire expectations for the postseason. Like I said, they're fourth in the East, 50-32 wins. They're 20-20 away for the regular season. But this team, especially, I think that lit a fire. Seeing Tyrese Halliburton get voted most overrated player by his peers, he said, "Oh, this is what you guys think about me? Okay, I'm gonna show you guys something." And it's funny enough that he's the only last remaining member from the 2024 USA Olympic team to still be playing. And he was the guy who didn't even play a minute. Probably played like maybe when it was junk time. But he
yeah,
played the least amount of basketball during the Olympics, and he's the final guy playing
mhm,
for the Larry O'Brien trophy. That just goes to show you, man. um Steve Kerr's a shitty coach, but I digress. But but yeah, no,
agree.
I think the Pacers, again, seeing that they're shooting guard position, one thing that the Thunder should not be doing, and I don't think they take good care of the basketball. But one thing, if I'm the Thunder, they have to take care of the basketball. We're gonna talk about what the Pacers did in the last series, but this team, the Pacers team, is seventh overall in pace. And if
Mhm.
you turn the basketball over, they are running and gunning. And you look at it, it's like they'll have like 30 points off of 7 turnovers. It's crazy. So one thing Oklahoma City Thunder is gonna have to do, take care of the basketball. Shea's gonna have to be Shea, which I think he will. Jalen's gonna have to be Jalen Williams. Hartenstein and Chet are gonna, hold the fort down below. Lou Dort and Caruso are gonna be those defensive juggernauts that I expect them to be. I think this series is gonna go 6. I want to be surprised if the Pacers are able to steal one of those home games against the Thunder, whether it's either game 1 or game 2. But I think overall this ends in 6. And yeah, and Thunder are going to be new NBA champions as we all expected that to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my final thing was OKC in five. Even though I do think there is a world where these could be close games to where the Pacers, like you said, steal one or two that what they kind of weren't expecting. But if you talk about like regular season stats amongst these teams, like the Thunder scored three more points per game in the regular season, and then they got about two steals more per game. But pretty much everything across the board is like the same. Both these teams don't turn the ball over. They take like the same amount of field goals and three pointers as each other. They shoot similar percentages. They like it's the rebounding is pretty close. The assisting is pretty close. Like everything, like these teams almost are like OKC is the elite version of the team, and what like the Pacers are a great team for sure, but like the OKC is like as perfect as you can get of what the Pacers are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I I also said that like is there well before I get to that, but I think that the bigs in this series it's really gonna matter. While some of the other series, I don't think it would have mattered as much. But I said that there's a world like they've been starting obviously Chet and Hartenstein together for I mean pretty much as long as they've both been healthy. Whether you go back to the regular season, the start of the playoffs, wherever. Um, I think that there's a very possible it's possible that we see at least a game or two where Hartenstein doesn't start because Hartenstein's a great player, great defender and rebounder, but you look at the other side and the Pacers don't have a center like Hartenstein. Like Miles Turner can stretch the floor. Siakam is, he can score from all three levels. Even on the Thomas Bryant had what three threes off the bench yesterday or something like that. They don't
Mhm.
really have a center that Hartenstein is just going to be able to sit down low for. And I think that there might be a world where we don't see a ton of Hartenstein in this series, where he's playing less than 20 minutes a game. Like I think there's a real possibility we see a lot of Jay Will this season, like Big Jay Will in this series because he can stretch the floor a little bit. Sure, he's not as great of a player, but I just don't know how. Like I think Hartenstein might have a little bit of a hard time getting out there on Miles Turner and Siakam, who are more mobile than he is. But I mean, again, it still might not matter. That's how good OKC is, but I think there's a world where you see, Chet at the 5, J Dub at the 4, Lou Dort at the 3, and then you have Isaiah Joe or something at the 2 with Shea. You know,
Okay, I see your point. That I think Hardenstein would probably play closer to his regular minutes, maybe 30s, because like you did mention, Miles Turner is a big man for the Pacers that could stretch the floor, knock down threes. But I think the Pacers will try to maybe try to get that switch advantage on Turner on Hardenstein because, like you mentioned, Hardenstein won't be able to guard the perimeter as well as Chet will. But then if the Thunder do sit Hardenstein, then that opens up driving lanes for Halliburton, for Siakam, hell, even for Nimhard or Mathurin we plays, or even for Obi Toppin, who's a Skywalker. So I think that it all depends on if the Thunder are gonna be if the Thunder are gonna switch everything. Was like, hey, let's get Hartenstein, involved and a bigger man on a smaller guard type of level because again, he's not as mobile as Chet would be. But if you do sit down Hartenstein, then you just have a wide open drive lane because Hartenstein is a better rim defender than Chet is. So I think it will be interesting to see the kind of chess match that Mark Daniel would do against Rick Carlisle. But yeah, like I said, in that key fact, Hardenstein will be a key factor for them. And just gonna see if he's gonna get exploited, on the island by himself. How well he's gonna move his feet.
yeah, but I think you talk about it opens up lanes for the Pacers. I think also when you have a guy like Miles Turner, who's a relatively good, like he's a pretty good shot blocker, and again is pretty mobile. You don't necessarily want to have Hartenstein just sitting on the low block when you have a guy like Shea too, because you get maybe like I say, you put Chet at the 5, you got J Dub at the 4, that gives you 5 out possibilities for Shea and obviously they've done it all season with Hartenstein. Like it's not like that Hartenstein's just playing for the first time. They know how to Shea knows how to get to the bucket with Hartenstein on the floor. But I'm saying when you have a guy like Miles Turner who is such a like obviously he's not a I wouldn't say he's an elite rim protector, but he's an above average rim protector. I think there's also the world where you look at that where like sure you might give Halliburton an open lane, some open lanes or whoever some open lanes, but I think you've got the best rim attacker in the league on your team in Shea. So I think that there's a world where again they could go either way. I'm not saying like that Hartenstein is going to be this negative whether he plays his normal minutes or not, but I think it's a avenue that like we might see them try in game. Like say they lose game 1, the Thunder lose game 1. I think game 2 there might be a possibility where we see some Hartenstein at the coming off the bench again because just because of the 5 out offense you can bring if he is not if he's not there. But again, he is a valuable player whether he is or not. But one of my questions was though for this series when I was talking about this was is there anything that the Pacers can do to take advantage of the series? Like that they will be able to exploit on the Thunder? Like are we just going based off the fast break? Do we think they're still going to be able to do that versus OKC?
I think so because again, they got some high Skywalker, some pretty freak of nature athletes on the team from OB to Mathurin to Nimhard, even Siakam, who could so glad hell fucking Tyrese Halliburton cocked it one hand, did a slam
Yeah,
dunk. I'm like, when the hell did Tyrese Halliburton be yamming it like that? But I
mhm,
think the option that you mentioned too for the Pacers to win is if they are going bucket for bucket with the Thunder, because you saw in the Knicks series when the Knicks scored, then the Pacers were running gun and they scored like less than 2 seconds. All those outlet passes, like how the hell did the Pacers score that quick? Because again, pace and space. That's where Carlisle's mo. That's how he won, the 2011 championship ring when he was the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how quick the Thunder get back on defense after scoring. Obviously, again, they are a great defensive team, but the minute you saw the Knicks scored, they didn't get back on defense quick enough. Pacers scored less than 2 seconds, outlet pass. Knicks scored. They didn't get back on defense quick enough. Pacers scored again quick, two outlet pass, one dribble pass, past the half court. So it's gonna be interesting to see are the Thunder gonna be able to get back on defense fast enough. There is gonna be a battle of which team is gonna get tired the most because these are the two top teams who are high in pace. I think if the Thunder, which again they're favored, but if the Thunder somehow find a way to slow it down and make the game more half court, there is no chance of hell. But for the Pacers to maybe have a puncher's chance, they gotta run them out the gym. But it's gonna be hard to do when
yeah.
all of them are like under 28 years
I don't
old.
yeah, I don't think you I don't that's why I was asking. Like, obviously, they'll still get some. It's who the Pacers are. They're not
Yeah,
OKC's not gonna be able to stop them 100% of the time, of course, but,
yeah,
like, the reason it excelled so great, like, you look back, like, the Bucks, like, sure, they had Giannis, but their personnel sucked on that Bucks team. That team
yeah,
was trash. Um, like, the surrounding cast. The Cavs, you had, a slower footed big men where you could get by them easily and Mobley, Jared Allen, and then the guards, Mitchell and Garland, aren't great defenders and they're smaller. And then the Knicks, their two best players are a negative on defense. Cat, we saw how many things that I don't know how many things I've seen talking about how coaching staff and players are upset with how Carl Anthony Towns played defense this series once they got eliminated. And Jalen Brunson is sure he's a fire hydrant, he's stocky, but Jalen Brunson, we're like I'm the same height as Jalen Brunson. I'm not like there's only so much that he can do.
yeah,
But then you talk about this Thunder team, they do not have anybody who is less than an average defender.
yeah,
Their legit worst defender in their starting lineup might be Shea, and he averaged 2 steals a game,
yeah.
and he's much bigger than Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, and possibly you could probably say a little stronger too, because Shea got some girth to him. He got
Yeah, he
some,
is. Yeah,
yeah. Shea definitely added
he's got the
muscles. You look at
size.
his photos from his rookie year to now, he's definitely cut up. So yeah, I like I said, I don't, I don't really see a clear avenue, a clear tunnel vision for the Pacers to win. Like I said, they will definitely give them a fighting chance because this team has just overachieved this entire postseason run, and that's just a credit to the players and Rick Carlisle, the assistant head coaches. But again, they're just going up against a better team. Like
Yeah,
just again, how the last series was when they faced the Knicks. The Pacers, we just saw after the first 3-4 games, the Pacers were just a much better team. And it's all about matchups at the end of the day. Like sometimes you may just avoid a team that was better than you because based off the seedings. But the Pacers were just a much better team than the Knicks. But the Pacers, they're just, going up against a much superior team in the Thunder. And I don't really see an avenue for them to win. They're just as fast as they could go. The Thunder could go faster, just as aggressive they are defensively. The Thunder can play even more aggressive defense, and they don't really have a switch like a mismatch switch. Like again, maybe Hartenstein is maybe a
yeah,
mismatch switch if you put like maybe a Mathurin or Halliburton or Nemhard or Neesmith on him, leave him on the island by himself. But Chet, if he's still on the court, he could
yeah,
easily come and double and rotate.
right.
So it was like, and if even if Chet isn't on the court, Lou Dort could come and double and rotate. Caruso is going to get you 2, 3, 4 steals off the weak side by himself. So I don't really see a defensive weakness for the entire team. Hell, even Aaron Wingers, who doesn't play that much, he's gotten a couple of steals. Like
Mm,
Isaiah Joe as well, too. All those guys can defend and move their feet. I've never seen such a complete and young team like this before in my life. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. I think that okay. See, we're just gonna see how elite they've been all season. I mean, 68, like so many people doubted them. Some people were like, sure, they won however many games, but they haven't seen them do it yet. Like, you see this thing with new champions where it's like They don't get respect. Like people did not people didn't people thought the Celtics probably were the best team in the league last year, but they were like, oh, the Nuggets won it last year. We got to give respect to the Nuggets, even though the Celtics were better. And that can go back for all the new champions. I think next year the Thunder are going to have everybody's respect because
Yeah.
they did it.
Yeah.
And then next year, say the Thunder don't go back to back. That next team, say there's a team that somehow looks better than them. The Spurs get Giannis or something. I still don't think if that whole Spurs team is healthy and they're the 1 or 2 seed and they look better than the Thunder do. I don't think they're going to get the respect until they do it, which is what I think is going on with the Thunder team. And it's crazy because Thunder won almost 70 games and they
Yeah.
have the MVP on their team and they're
It's
probably going to have the finals MVP.
it's crazy. It's crazy. One thing I do want to point out for the Pacers though, if they start just knocking down shots like crazy, like if Halliburton goes insane, if Siakam can't miss, if fucking Thomas Bryant comes in and start looking like Kobe Bryant and is knocking down all these 3-point shots, that could be something that I don't think the Thunder can avoid. Because one thing that the Pacers that I noticed that they play with so much more confidence, borderline cockiness, because they got that guy on that team, James Johnson. They could talk crazy to you, and it's like you're not gonna do nothing to us. Because if you do put your hands on us, all Rick Carlisle gotta do is just sub him in the game. Nobody's gonna want to foul James Johnson because they want to get their head kicked off. He's the feared man in the NBA. This man's like a fucking black belt in jujitsu, karate, whatever. Has like a 40 MMA record. So it's like knowing that we have that big brother who's gonna come in, protect us. They be talking crazy. Draymond said it too. Like Nimhar was talking crazy to them when they played the Warriors. Like, oh, you see Tyrese Halliburton mimicking Jalen Brunson's 3-point
Yeah.
celebration, going like this. Tyrese Halliburton would have never even attempted to do something like that 2-3 years ago. But once James Johnson got on that team, everybody started acting crazy. They started acting out like, yo, who you guys? Because like you're not gonna do nothing to us because we got a big brother. Put your hands on us, see what he gonna do to y'all. Especially when they specifically signed him after Giannis. After Giannis, like, yo, y'all better go give me my ball. And he went to the locker room. It was like, yeah, we can't have that happen. Next day they signed James Johnson. Nobody want no problems with them after them. It's crazy.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. There's just it very well could be a third finals in a row where it's like, eh, you know,
Yeah.
like, cause like Denver, they handled Miami.
Yeah.
Miami shouldn't have been there. They were an 8 seed
Yeah.
last year. I mean, Mavericks were good, but the Celtics they were
They
much
were a better
better.
team.
I think this very well could be the same thing. But again, I will say the Timberwolves got a game where they completely annihilated the Thunder. I think there very well could be a game where like the Pacers do that. Now the Pacers I don't think are better than the Timberwolves, but I don't think the Timberwolves are that much better. Um, but I don't know. It's just like if OKC's not impossible to beat in a game, but it's the playoffs. You can't beat them in a game. You got to beat them
Mhm.
4 times, and I
Yeah.
just don't. I don't see the Pacers doing that 4 times.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. They're just a better overall team. I want to say this too. David Stern is probably rolling over in his grave, seeing that who the finals matchup are between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. He's like, no big names, obviously, besides Shea, but he would if David Stern was still alive and still the commissioner of the NBA, knowing his rigging ass and so much controversy happened under while he was a commissioner, he would have done everything in his power to make sure either Steph, LeBron, or Ant-Man were in the finals. And I think, like I said, this is just for pure basketball fans like me or you are going to enjoy this finals because again, it's just basketball. There is no big storyline. There is no big beef between these teams. It's just
Mhm.
going to be strictly basketball. But to the casual fans who don't watch the NBA product, who don't watch basketball just for its pure art and form of entertainment, they're not going to watch it because they're like, well, there's no Steph, no LeBron, no KD, no Ant-Man, no storyline, no drama, most boring finals in NBA history. And it's just like, yo, then you're not a real basketball fan. Like, come on, like we live in a day and age where people just love to bitch, moan, and then bitch some more, but they'll still watch it. Like, stop it,
And
stop it.
yeah, people hated the times way back when or whatever. Boston versus LA every
Yeah,
year, or Miami versus whoever, and they wanted parity. When you get parity, you don't have a lot of rivalries. You don't have a lot
Exactly.
of these crazy storylines unless you somehow get, a Timberwolves who's a 6 seed and the Knicks maybe did match. But like again, parity, what comes with parity, there's not storylines, there's not rivalries because every like you're looking different every year. You're bringing in somebody new. I mean, granted, we've gotten a new champion every year, but most years we've gotten two completely different finals teams. The
Yep.
Heat and the Celtics made it twice. But other than that, like the Suns and Bucks haven't been back. Uh Warriors were obviously a couple times, but like the Raptors, the Nuggets, the Mavericks, like they're both the teams have been different. It's not like one team out east has made it 4 years in a row, and a different team out west is just knocking them off. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm still excited for the finals. I will say,
Yeah. Yeah, and you put the nail right on the head too. Like between 2015 and 2018, when the Golden State Warriors was always back in the NBA Finals, and it was the Warriors versus Cavs. After the second year, fans like, I don't want to watch this anymore. The Warriors are gonna win when they had a KD. I don't want to see stuff going up against LeBron. It's too boring. It's predictable. NBA was like, okay, fine, we're gonna give you unpredictability now. Oh no, there's no storylines. It's boring. It's no names. It just goes to show you that fans are gonna bitch and moan no matter what. They complain about one thing, you fix it, and you give them another option. They complain about that. It's just like, yo, if you just people nowadays, again, this is for casual fans. They just want to watch basketball and feel like it's a soap opera. It's not a soap opera. It's sports. Yes, I get it. It's sports entertainment, but at the end of the day, sports is first. All right. So, like I said again, for me, you we're gonna enjoy it. It might not be the most interesting finals in terms of drama and maybe headline names, superstar names, sexy names, and storylines. But at the end of the day, these are the two best teams left. Especially they match up perfectly. So to all NBA Twitter trolls and whatnot, they're gonna complain about no matter what. They need to complain about having a better life. But I digress. It's just
yeah,
fix their own fucking life. But they're just gonna bitch and moan no matter what. It's
yeah.
insane.
And last thing before we go, I mean, like it's amazing to see LeBron in the finals, to see Durant, Curry, Paul, like whoever, like all these names we grew up on. But I'm glad that we're getting more people like that are taking the thrones of being the kings of the NBA, the passing the torch. Because if we somehow got I don't know, if somehow one of LeBron, Durant, or Curry got to the finals and they're 40 years old and we still haven't seen any new names make the finals, any new names doing anything, winning MVP, the talent pool in the NBA is trash then. And
Yeah,
once they retire, the NBA is cooked. But we're not. We're getting Shea in the finals. We're getting Tatum. We're getting Jokic. We're getting Giannis. We're getting, we still had a Curry year in 2022. We had a LeBron year in 2020. Um, Hell, we even had Kawhi in 2019, another guy
yeah,
that he's not as high up as LeBron, Curry, whatever, but he's still one of part of that era. And the fact that we are having all these new guys, even an Ant in the conference finals 2 years in a row, Luca made the finals, and now he is on the biggest market in the league. Like it shows that the NBA is in good hands. And if you don't like that, you should go watch a different sport.
exactly. And I just want to add to the top of that too. It's like the NBA is kind of like the WWE in terms of, if you watch professional wrestling, it's all fake, it's all scripted. Obviously, the moves that they do is real, but it's all scripted. And their job is to create new superstar characters. Let's, for example, you just always see John Cena or like Triple H or Stone Cold still winning, and they're like 40, 56 years old. You're gonna be like, all right, it's the same old shit. We need to see new young stars. The NBA is creating new young stars. Like the reason we are calling Jokic the best player in the world is because he's been to an NBA Finals. He's won an NBA championship. The reason why we're putting SGA in the top 3 player conversation right now is because he won MVP. He's competing in NBA Finals, has a chance to win a championship. Add to his legacy. The reason we started calling Giannis Antetokounmpo one of the best players in the game a couple years ago because he got to an NBA Finals. He won an NBA championship. That's a new superstar right there. And possibly the reason why we're going to call Victor Wembanyama the face of the league, Ant-Man the face of the league. If they get to the NBA Finals, you're creating new stars. Like you just mentioned, LeBron, Steph, KD, they're not going to play forever. They probably have 2, 3 years left max playing in this league. They're all 36 years old and older. It's time for the NBA to get new stars, and that's exactly what's happening. And you fans are bitching, moaning, and fucking complaining. Go fix your own fucking lives. Go bitch about your own lives and find something else to do. It's just it's nonsense to me. And I'm sorry, I'm sound like I'm going crazy, but I cannot stand NBA Twitter. They always found something to complain about, and they are in the reason why the NBA ratings have been declining recently because it's them. It's always them. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's our finals preview. Again, I think it's still going to be enjoyable, whether people, whether whatever the ratings say, whatever anyone says. But I mean, we're still getting basketball. It's the last basketball we get till Halloween.
Yes.
I'm gonna enjoy
Enjoy
it.
it.
I'm gonna enjoy it.
Enjoy it. We gotta have July, August, September. Oh, well, 4 months left. 4 months off. No basketball. You
Yep.
know. All right. Yep. All right. That's it for this episode of Hoops All In. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel at Hoops All In. Subscribe to Keith's YouTube channel, Keith HAI. He does great work over there. Also, listen to us for the audio version of the podcast at Hoops All In on Spotify, Podbeam, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you stream your local weekly podcast. For World's Francois, Keith Bazin signing off. We'll be back for another episode of Hoops All In. Catch you guys later.